I think it is totally ridiculous that the federal government is in the flood insurance business, with no end in sight for the National Flood Insurance Program to keep racking up new debt, continuing subsidized rates for those who live in flood-prone areas, skyrocketing rates for many who live in areas that never flood, and then 40 years of history showing clearly that the federal government is a very bad insurance company. I think it is time to take decisive action to wind down the National Flood Insurance Program instead of just offering up more bailouts. The National Flood Insurance Program was created in the late 1960s after some people concluded that the private marketplace could not provide policies at an affordable level for some areas, that there was too much exposure for the insurance companies. So once formed, the program at the federal level then began writing policies in the early 1970s, with the federal government setting rates based on political considerations instead of actual risk. The Great Lakes are at historic low water levels, and yet our property owners throughout the Great Lakes Basin are being forced to pay higher flood insurance premium than even some states like Florida or Louisiana. Now, how unfair is that? How else can anyone explain the fact that policyholders in places like, as I mentioned, Florida, Louisiana, are paying lower rates than those that live in Michigan, who look out their back doors and see the lowest water levels in many generations, and really who are under almost zero risk of flooding? If any private insurance company set rates in such an arbitrary, capricious, and unfair manner, they would be immediately shut down by every state insurance regulator. But the National Flood Insurance Program gets away with these practices because it is a federal government entity. I think it is time to shut down this terrible insurance company. And my bill, the National Flood Insurance Program Termination Act of 2013, would end the program on December 31st of 2015. And so it would then allow the states to form regional insurance compacts to spread the risk and to partner with the private sector to accomplish this goal, and to continue to allow FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, which is the agency that currently oversees the program, to assist in those efforts wherever appropriate. And those who choose to live in floodplains or flood-prone areas should be required to purchase flood insurance if they wish to use a federally backed mortgage. But the rates that are charged must be based on actual risk, instead of the current practice of subsidizing rates based on political considerations. I think this is so important because over the last several years, it has become very clear that the program is using those who live in states like Michigan and other Great Lakes states around the Great Lakes Basin. Really, they're using us as ATM machines for the rest of the nation, particularly the parts of the country that are subject to hurricanes. The fact that over the last 20 years, Michigan ratepayers have received back only $1 for every $7 that we paid in premium shows clearly that we are being overcharged, and yet the program continues to force more Michigan residents into the program and raises rates even further, while again continuing to subsidize rates in places with the highest risk of flooding. I believe in the 10th Amendment. That's states' rights. And our nation must stop centralizing power in Washington on all kinds of issues. And if some believe that the federal government should provide flood insurance, then why don't we provide earthquake insurance or fire insurance or car insurance? Or where are you going to stop with all of this? I think it's time to stop looking to Washington for one-size-fits-all solutions and to allow states to provide real and affordable solutions to residents who do require flood insurance protection. And it is time to remove the federal government from the flood insurance business, time to end the unfair debt liability being placed upon all taxpayers by this unsound federal program, stop the practice of forcing unjustly high rates on those living in areas under very little risk of flooding, to stop the politically motivated subsidizing of people who live in highly flood-prone areas, and most importantly, to restore power to the states.